What do these people believe?
Well, okay, and who's that for? Science has proven this thing. Is he saying that to cozy up to the world? Is he saying that just to shut up faithful Catholics? Let me tell you what Thomas Aquinas said.
Tell me.
The truth of our faith becomes a matter of ridicule among the infidels if any Catholic not gifted with the necessary scientific learning presents as dogma what scientific scrutiny shows to be false.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know who the cardinal had said this, but I'm guessing that he's not, he probably doesn't have a degree in biology.
No, he doesn't, but he ran the Senate on synodality. He was the president.
Well, there you go.
Does that make sense?
Hey, that's all I need to know.
That's all I need to know. And Matthew, you quoted St. Thomas. I would like to quote Fulton J. Sheen on a topic that says, are we one with the world or are we one with Jesus Christ? He said this: if I were not a Catholic and I were looking for the true church in the world today, I would look for the one church which did not get along well with the world. In other words, I would look for the church which the world hates. Now, Matthew, the world says homosexuality is okay. Mm-hmm. It's a great thing. The church officially speaks as it being a very serious sin and offense against God. Mm-hmm. It makes it real clear to me that we've become too close in the church and the hierarchy of being with the world rather than with Jesus Christ. Would you happen to agree with that position?
I would agree with that. On this document that they put out, this explanation, talks about the delicate situation in some countries.
Yeah.
Right. He understands you. Well, first off, I just have to do this. The very first sentence. Mm-hmm. We are writing this press release to help clarify the reception of fiducia supplicans while recommending at the same time a full and calm reading of the declaration so as to better understand its meaning and purpose. Mm-hmm. In other words, oh, you poor benighted fools, you bishops' conferences, you theologians, obviously, what you need to do is just shut up and go to the corner and read it over again. Okay? Yeah. I mean, it's
condescending.
I'm not a prominent theologian or a cardinal or a bishop, and I'm offended.
Yeah, of course I am.
Anyway, they talk at one point, number 3, section 3 of this press release, says the delicate situation of some countries, right? There are places where there's strong cultural and legal issues.
Like Africa?
Yeah, for example. And he says, in truth, quote, there are not a few countries that to varying degrees condemn and prohibit homosexuality. You mean like the Catholic Church, for example?
Exactly.
Again, we're talking about failing to make distinctions. They're talking about homosexuality obviously is perfectly fine.
Yeah, by that statement.
It's just some kind of weird rule that we have about not being able to bless homosexual unions. Yeah. And it's obviously not. He doesn't have a problem with the nature of the union. He's got a problem with the nature of blessings. That's why they had to change things around, because there's no way to get around it, Terry. There's no way to get around it.
Clarity with charity.
Yeah. And it is obvious.
Yes.
I hope.
You are, yeah.
And see, once upon a time, giving the benefit of doubt on a document like this seemed like a reasonable thing to do. We are now at the bottom of the slippery slope looking up.
Exactly. Well said.
And it's obvious that, as with every other novelty that's been introduced since Vatican II, the provisos in this document, it can't cause scandal. It can't be interpreted this way. It can't be interpreted that way. That's irrelevant because they're going to be ignored. In fact, they're already being ignored.
Can I jump in and say that's exactly what happened in the early 70s when communion in the hand was okayed with an indult? They had the 5 things that had to be there to give Holy Communion on the hand. And one of them was that there was no chance of being irreverent and also desecrating the host, like stealing the host. And all those things were just pushed under the table and people were given communion in the hand. And how did they do that? With disobedience. And Matt, I'm making a connection here. I think that this has been a consistent thought of what I call progressive people in the church: disobey until it becomes practice okay. And that's what they're doing with homosexuality. Would you agree with that point?
Well, you make an excellent point. Communion in the hand is a terrific example because, again, it was imposed on Catholics in the United States. Nobody here, and there was no movement amongst Catholics in the United States to read communion in the hand. And it was only allowed, as you say, as an indult and ad experimentum.
Exactly.
And one of the provisos was that if there was any evidence of a loss of faith in the real presence, it was to be reprobated.
Exactly.
Practice was to be abandoned. And now, This was a few years ago. It had been 30 years.
1977.
Yeah, so this would have been 87, 97, 2007.
Yeah.
Is when the U.S. Bishops' Conference came out and said, well, we've been doing it for 30 years now, and so it has the force of custom. Okay. And so we declare that communion received standing in the hand is now the norm in the United States.
Wow.
Okay? With that proviso. And that's kind of like the way Henry VIII said, look, I'm the head of the church, but just in England. Okay.
Cute.
It's this. Well, I mean, how is that different, really? It's the universal norm. The norm in the church is to receive kneeling and on the tongue.
Of course.
You can't say it's the norm to do something else, but you know, by making that sophistical distinction. Oh, it's the norm here.
Yeah.
You know, it goes against the meaning of the word itself.